You are welcome once again to Matters Arising, coming to you from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. And probably someone out there will be asking, what is Matters Arising all about? Matters Arising is a flagship talk show of KAFTAN TV, which features in-depth discussions and analysis of trending national and international issues by our team of broadcast journalists. My name is Dayo Omoogun, and with me on set this evening is...
I am Oriri Richard. Good evening.
Ekaette Ibuot is my name. You're welcome.
All right. And as usual, our promise is that we will do our very best to make this program engaging, incisive, and interactive. That's our promise. And to make this happen, we encourage you to go beyond just watching, to also participating via calls on the show in the course of time via our phone number 0802993835, which will be put on the screen at the appropriate time. And as we do this together, you can be sure that we'll have a rollicking time on the show this evening, because we also bring you something that you will be glad to be part of. Welcoming you once again, we'll quickly go to the icebreaker. And tonight, guys, you know what? Nigeria politics is one of the best when it comes to theatrics and drama.
What do you mean?
Now, every time there are elections, you find people do all kinds of things. Aspirants suddenly become very humble. They suddenly take on all kinds of vocations, and then they suddenly become friends.
Oh, I get
Come on, man, come on, woman on the street.
You know, we've had cases where you see a known politician coming out to hug groundnuts.
Groundnuts, yes.
Maybe buying corn, trying to...
Even roasting.
Yes, roasting.
Nigeria is such a beautiful place, you know.
I've seen where a known politician, former governor, turned to a chef.
I remember.
For several persons, because of the new appointment he got.
Telling them indirectly that you can all come as friends.
Yes.
Original food is ready.
Yeah.
You understand?
I mean, you can't beat Nigerian politicians.
So interesting.
You can't beat Nigerian politicians. They can come up with all kinds of things.
Just to entice and confuse us.
Exactly. And funny enough, they get their way.
They get their way.
That's it.
They get their way with the average Nigerian. I don't know. The fact that they can even conceive of it and make it happen, and it really does work for them, is beyond me.
Nigeria is one country where propaganda works more
all the
than
time.
Because they have studied the psychology of an average Nigerian. So they manipulate.
The truth is that the picture of such scenes, some people will cherish it till their dying days. The pictures of such scenes. Some people, if they can have such pictures, they will sleep with the pictures every night and tell you and regale you with stories. Do you know that I had a picture with so-and-so person while at work? The person joined me to roast corn and so on and so forth. It's very interesting. Nigeria is a beautiful place. I just hope that the politics can get better and get us out of all the problems that we currently face, because indeed tonight we're going to be talking about the problems in our space, and we're going to be talking about how does democracy relate with the problems that we have in our space. And so that ushers us into the topic for tonight. We're looking at democracy and the crisis of governance in Nigeria. Democracy and the crisis of governance in Nigeria. Democracy has been sold all around the world as one of the best forms of government or governance. And indeed, in many climes, in many jurisdictions, you find out that countries that adopt democracy are doing quite well. Why do people even say at all, that democracy is something to be practiced, something, the form of government, the system of government to beat. Because inbuilt in democracy are systems of separation of powers, which are supposed to ensure checks and balances,
of course,
and then ensure that no one party, no one arm of government lords it over the others, in which case the system is made to function carrying all along. And don't forget that the most popular definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And so in which case it is believed that people in government hold power in trust for the rest of the people. And if this is so, it then means that the people in government are accountable to the people, and so they have to answer to them. But is this so in Nigeria? That's the question. Is this so in Nigeria? That's just a pause. Now, much more than that, because of what's the structure, the features of democracy are, it is believed that they will be able to grant good governance, and that dividends of democracy will keep flowing. But I do not think, and unfortunately so, that has been the experience of Nigeria or Nigerians. And so we're wondering, is it a problem of the form of government that we are practicing? Is it a problem with the kind of democracy that we're practicing? Because as of today, you have all kinds of human rights violations. You have people can be arrested on the streets just for any flimsy excuse. You have all kinds of problems. There's no potable water in many places within this country, in spite of the fact that we're surrounded by all kinds of water bodies. I mean, there's education, there are problems in the education sector. There are all kinds of, I mean, the level of poverty is astounding, considering the fact that naturally this country is endowed with all kinds of resources that ought to place us among the very first 10 nations around the world. But what do we find? Just recently, I think that it's like we have gotten out of that position now. But for some years, and up to like last year or thereabouts, this country was named as the world capital of poverty. Imagine that.
Are we out of that?
I think so. I've not really followed that so much. So here we are. So tonight, what exactly is the problem? Why are we not keeping pace? Why is Nigeria not keeping pace with its democratic peers who are doing well, who are moving forward? At a time in Ghana, nearby Ghana, it was reported that for years on end, there had not been a blink in their power. I'm sure that you guys heard.
Yeah.
That for years, in fact, at a point, whether they said 5 or 7 years, they had uninterrupted power supply. And to think that part of that supply was coming from Nigeria. So what exactly is the problem? The same democracy that US practices, or maybe a variant of it, is what Nigeria practices. Why are we in this quagmire? Tonight, that's the food for thought, and that's what we're going to be analyzing and talking about and proffering solutions to, and we expect that to be a part of this nation building exercise. And so that's what we're talking about, gentlemen, and I think that any one of us can take it from there. Yeah.
Well, to me, I think I would still say, just like the definition we had given earlier on, that democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people, and all that. So I still feel democracy would have been the best, because it's a form of government where, like for instance, we are three. We sit down we talk.
Yeah.
We talk, we discuss our issues, and then we chat a way forward. But the problem here is, personally, it's my own opinion. I don't think it's the kind of democracy we are practicing. To me, I think it boils down to our individuals, our own selves, because we seem to have forgotten where we are coming from. Because if as a politician, as a leader, as an elected leader, if you remember where we came from as Nigerians, starting from the days of the slave trade, the colonial masters, the military rule, and then to this point, I don't think politicians should behave the way they to me. I would say I've not really seen it, because some people are of the opinion that we should go back to
the military.
The military. To me, I would say it's not as if the military was good too.
It wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect, because I remember those days as a child, our parents still complained the same thing we are complaining presently. As an individual, I would say at my age, I've never, that's why sometimes when people say when Nigeria was good, sometimes I ask, when was that? Because I've never seen it.
All right.
I have never seen it. I grew up, to me, I think, then, because now we are exposed to social media, people are beginning to be aware, people are beginning to be conscious, but people were actually suffering also in Nigeria, because there were no roads, there were nothing then. So I would say we've never really had it that rosy in this country. We've never had it. So that's why I'm saying, if politicians can if we can flash back our minds to know where we are coming from, I think it has to do with the people involved. If as Nigerians we could just decide and say, let's have a change of mind. Let's have a change of mind. I think some of these issues, and then if we are sincere with ourselves, if we are sincere with like now you just said, like a country like Ghana doing better when we have all the resources. So what stops us from getting our country developed? What's stopping us?
Apart from us, I think that we are our own
so
greatest problems.
To me, I wouldn't say let's go back to the military era. Let's just as a person, like, in your own little corner, let's try to let there be a change. Let me change as an individual. It will go a long way. In my own little, let me try to change.
Democracy, just like she said, and the way you defined it, government of the people, by the people,
for the people.
So, but the true definition of democracy is a process. If you look at it, right from the period of 15th century to 18th century, up to 19th century, now we are in the 2000s. Democracy has been with us. It started from Western Europe up to Central and Eastern America. Then the first in the whole Arab nation, the first in the Middle East. The first country to become a democratic state was Israel, and that was in 1947. India, in that Asian zone too, became a democratic nation fully in 1950. Nigeria was in 1960. And some other countries within the Africa and other Asian countries around this area. From the 90s, from the 90s, out of the 192 nations of the world, about 120 became a democratic nation. That shows clearly how beautiful democratic government is.
Or is supposed to be.
And if it's not a good style of government, there is no how nations across the world will be joining, queuing.
Yeah.
You understand? So now the indices of democracy, what democracy have done in the Western Europe, where it started from, before spreading to this area. Democracy came to us this area after the Second World War, after the collapse of after the Second World War, then the Cold War. Again, after the Cold War, the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991. The collapse of Soviet Union now gave America the total unipolar power in the entire world. There was no bipolar again. Then they started exporting democracy to other parts of it because it's the best form of government where freedom is given. And the basic ingredient of democracy is election. The freedom to select who should be your leader. In the time of Thomas Hobbes, Hobbes came up, that was when the world was so nasty, brutish, and short.
Yes.
If you have power more than the other person, you can even go and occupy the entire farmland of somebody because you have the power. So the life then was so nasty, so brutish.
And
so they now said, social contract should come in where the entire people came together, put their right together and say we should hand it over to certain people to manage on our behalf on trust. And that social contract now is the reason why we are where we are now, that the trust that was in between the leaders, those that have the people who originally came together to say we are submitting our right to, the breach in trust is the reason why we are saying democracy is in crisis here today. If you look at what is happening within the African sub-region here, recently from about how many years or days, months back, we have experienced over how many coups within the African sub-region, out of which about 4 were successful. Mali was successful. Niger was successful. Burkina Faso was successful. There was one in Gabon, but not within this area. You understand? That shows clearly how disenchanted, how disenchanted the citizens are towards democracy. How the disagreement between the people and government and democracy is becoming in this area. Insecurity shouldn't be seen around where democracy is. A good life is what democracy is all about. The people have submitted their right to you to manage on their behalf.
Yes.
And the basic thing to do is to ensure that they have dignified life. But are we having the dignified life in this area of the world? Especially in Nigeria. Today now, just like you said, you said you had somebody made call.
Yes, today.
Today. That for the 4 days.
5 days.
He has not been able to cook in the house. There is one person that have summoned courage to tell the world what he or she is feeling. Passing through. The same thing applicable to many Nigerians. So what is going on is truly a problem that all of us have to put our heads together and see, why is democracy in crisis in this part of the world? Where in other democratic nations, they are enjoying the benefit of democracy. Why are we not enjoying the benefit of democracy in this part of our world? What is the challenge?
Let me quickly react to what you just said. I think one of the problems we have, the number one problem we have in our democracy, starts from election, like what you just rightly said. Because sometimes they try to impose these personalities.
Our recruitment process is faulty.
Yes, it's faulty. So it's the foundation. And then sometimes we've not really had free and fair elections since 1999.
Even before then.
before then. We've not really had, because if really
the election in 1999 election conducted by the military
was even fairly,
was the fairness in it, and the freeness in it
now.
From that time, after that 1999 election, 1998, the election was conducted in 1998. Then the handing over of power was in May in 1999, and I was small then. I could remember in my local government, opposition party won the local government chairman. In my local government, the Honorable Chochopa, he won at the local government chairmanship election under under opposition, not PDP, not a popular party. And the 10 political world, different political party won councillorship election, and across the states of the federation, different political parties won governorship election.
Yes.
The military conducted the most freest and fairest election.
That was because people were able to vote and make the candidates of their choice. But you know, now, even when sometimes what we are having now is, even when people try to come out to vote, those who are bold enough to come out, you see, there will be one violence from sponsored by one politician.
The whole thing.
Apart from that, consciences have been bought because over time poverty has been weaponized. I mean, the man who spoke on phone this afternoon and said he has not cooked in his house for 5 days. How do you think can you imagine that a politician approaches such a person and says, I have 5,000 naira for you?
Definitely will fall
for it. He will fall for it. So these are the issues. I think I should add my voice. I think that the real problem is not with the kind of government. It's with us.
It's with us.
It's with us as people.
It's with us as people.
Because, like you've rightly pointed out at the beginning of your submission, even during the military, we had issues. But see, if you compare, and I see that that's the reason why many people are advocating that a return to military rule. The truth is, the military, I mean, as compared to this people,
civilian,
I mean, had some level of
discipline,
some level of matching words with action. And if the military says remove this edifice and relocate it, it's done as if it's God's pronouncement.
Will you say that was discipline or intimidation?
It's not exactly.
I think it was intimidation.
That's the way it was perceived, and that's the way the world, wanting everybody to go into a democratic setting, tried to coin it, if you would allow that expression. The truth is that they had dispatch by their military training. There's no much exchange. If he says, Richard, now from this afternoon you are posted from Abuja to Oriri, you obey the last order.
Yeah.
And so in like manner, things were done that way. That's the way they created states. Ever since the democratic our journey, has any state been created? No, because all kinds of drama will come up, all kinds of controversies will be stirred, all kinds of theatrics will come to play, and so at the end you can't get make any progress. If the executive brings forth a suggestion, the legislature will sit on it and do all kinds of drama, and then sometimes some things will pass hands before things are done. These are not features of the military. Of course, there was corruption in the military, there's no doubt, but it wasn't this humongous.
It was. It's just that there were few.
So in totality, it was not this humongous if you put it together, because the level of corruption at the executive level right now, at the legislature, at the judiciary, and the states is something we will never be able to really put together.
In the military era in this country, we have seen several military take over in Nigeria. And the reason why they say they are taking over the government is because of corruption.
Yeah.
So civilian government, there have not been any anger ventilated by Nigerian citizens, voters, to say we are sending this government out because of corruption through our vote. And again, In this country, you will see corruption that has been instituted, fraud that has been instituted in electoral process in Nigeria is done by civilian, and it was introduced in 2003. 1998 election conducted by the military was very free, very fair, very pure. 70 to 80% original. Then in 2003, the one that was conducted by a civilian regime, President Olusegun Obasanjo, that was when the introduction of electoral fraud was for that. Military people were used to intimidate voters to stupor. And you will see they will print ballot papers. In fact, ahead of market square.
I think
and in your presence, you see them dumping it inside the ballot box. Introducing wrong things.
The democracy we are practicing.
But in any case,
different.
No matter how terrible democracy looks, is the best compared to military.
I still like us to say supposed to be the best, because our reality
doesn't show that is the best. And in the military era, you will see respect to constituted authority. Respect to simple rules in the society, respect to orderliness. You cannot in the military era go to let's say you are going to fetch water and you see other people clean up. You go and boycott.
You want to disrupt.
You will never get that water that day, and you will be punished for it. You understand? This democracy has in fact, gave us too much right to say, I can say anything, even when it's going against the nation, the interest of your nation. Somebody who had under human rights, freedom of speech, to say you are saying things so nasty against your country without putting the national value, national interest of your country at heart. Today, Russia is practicing socialism. They are not practicing democracy. India, China, they practice socialism. They don't practice democracy. But they go to the poll to elect their leaders. We tag them autocratic people because when you are saying things, even in the media circle, when you see journalists saying things that is against the national interest of a country or that is against national security issue, they don't play with it. Because as a journalist, you are supposed to be polishing the image of your country. There are so many things happening even in India here. There was a time kidnapping took place in India. Who's taking in India? One of my professors in school, he's an Indian man. He said, Richard, you see, look at this has happened in my country. Did you see it in any media? The country have to curtail it. You understand? They don't show it out. It's damaging to their national value. That will scare people away from their country and the respect they have maintained over the years. But in Nigeria, every person say anything anyhow against the country, and we hide under the umbrella of human rights. So democracy can be built by leaders, even by followers. You understand? So it's our collective responsibility to build the democracy. It's truly under a serious crisis. It's in danger. Democracy is in danger.
That's why we're not making progress in terms of development.
Serious danger.
There are a whole lot of issues together that are working against our democratic progress.
Serious danger. If you go to the health sector, we are getting it so poorly.
Yes.
Under a normal democratic rule, you take head to be the number one thing. He's a healthy citizen that can give the best to the country.
To the country, yes.
He's educated person that can give the best to his or her country. You value education, you value health. If you go to China, they value health and education. Almost every individual in China is a medical doctor. They don't even wait for doctor to prescribe drug for them.
Because they have attained a certain level of
knowledge in their field.
So I really think that, as far as I'm concerned, I think that the problem rests with us, principally, substantially. See, we must go right back and have a reorientation, a value reorientation. Our values they are warped. Our values are upside down. I mean, you find out that I have said this, and I keep saying it at every opportunity that I have, every gathering, every small group. I say any nation, any family, any church, any towns group, any small group that values money above every other thing is doomed.
It's doomed.
It's doomed. It's the reason today in this country, your daughter goes to school with a Palasa phone. We all know what Palasa phone is. And that daughter returns with an iPhone worth 650,000, worth $1 million. And rather than scold the child and say, where did you get this from? Immediately the mother is asking, is saying, what a beautiful phone. Oh yeah, come and snap me. I mean, when you get that kind of reaction, is that not saying that the child has done being encouraged to do it? No, that's just that. I mean, that's just a little piece of it. Even in churches that are supposed to set our certain standards, you find out that if somebody who is rich, who is wealthy, does anything wrong, he gets away. He gets away with it. A whole lot is wrong. A whole lot is wrong. So whether it's under military, whether it's democracy, before somebody begins to think that I'm campaigning for a return of military regime, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need the churches have to be engaged by the orientation agency, for example. All the town unions have to be engaged by the orientation agency. That we need to change. And see, honor should be given to whom honor is due. There are still a few persons who are doing so well. I can't forget the case of somebody who returned some money, I think from Ekaette recently.
Yes.
Do you see how the Niger State governor coordinated efforts to change the life of that person? This person returned whether 15 million. Bago arranged the federal government, his own state, his personal money to the tune of 250 million to ensure that that guy will go to school and all that. When we do those kind of things, even though I think that was outlandish, that was a little bit too much for a return of 15.
It wasn't too much.
It's a message. It's a message being sent. But the point is, if we reward such, if we reward honesty, if we truly reward diligence, if we truly reward integrity, so there will be a kickback from the citizen. Yes, that's true. We need to begin to take calls now. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Yes, this is concerned citizen from Bayelsa.
All right, concerned citizen. You're welcome.
Yes, I'm happy the topic people are discussing tonight. It's the issue that we need to tackle.
She tuned down the volume of his TV.
I didn't hear that.
Yes. The
volume of your
problem here is this. Nigeria is like a community.
It's like the volume of your TV is on the high side.
Okay, I brought it down.
Oh, good.
I tried that. Nigeria is like a community having 3 quarters with different views. If something is given to that community, 1 quarter will say, let's keep it in the bank. The other one will say, let's share it among ourselves. The other one will say, let's invest it. So these 3 are their views now. Which one is going to happen? So there are going to be confusion. And that's the way it is in this country. No matter how you speak your grammar, what you are practicing is not democracy because you are not keeping to it. What you are practicing is what? Corruptocracy.
That's a new lexicon. We'll need to check that out in our dictionary. Yeah, go on quickly.
There's no somebody that introduced what you believe. Corruptocracy.
Okay. quickly round up so that we can take many more persons.
Corruptocracy. That's what you are practicing in this country.
Thank you.
Are you getting me? So in these 3 views now, which one are we going to implement?
Your point is noted.
That is not what's happening in this country. Whether military or whether civilian, as long as this is underground, we cannot allow them to prevail.
Correct. Let's leave it. Let's leave it there.
Regional government, things were better. Are you getting me?
Yeah, concerned citizen.
Make forced marriage.
Bayelsa concerned citizen, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Thank you for your contribution and thank you for your steadfastness in always calling the on the program. Thank you very much. Yeah. Hello? Yeah, good evening. What's your name and where you calling from? And let's quickly have your take.
Okay, my name is Felix. I'm calling from Edo.
All right, go ahead, please.
TV
that TV set is too loud.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead now.
I want to talk in support of the last speaker.
The TV is echoing.
Because what we are practicing in Nigeria today is not democracy.
Your voice is still echoing because the TV set volume is still high.
Okay, let me lower it then.
It's either that you lower it or you move to somewhere else where it will not interfere. And we need to do this quickly. You have 1 minute that is almost run out.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Is it okay now?
Go ahead quickly.
Okay. I want to say that you remember in those days around 1980, 81, 82, Nigeria routes, if you are moving from Abuja to Kano, if you are moving from Abuja to Lagos, Nigeria routes were moved then. And these routes were done by the military. Our 4 refineries that are not working today, they were done by the military. So, which one do you think democracy? Which one democracy? Which one? Which civilian president have ever built a refinery?
Not
build,
not to talk of even repair, just repair. We have not repaired, not to talk of build.
Obasanjo had over the last refinery to Shagari administration, that is Kaduna refinery. So you can see that the democracy, they are cheating Nigeria because the military did not allow them to chop Nigeria money. That's why they were saying that the military is autocracy. But today, when the military was ruling us, we don't have a national assembly, we don't have senators, we don't have house of assembly. But the military will be fine.
Right, Felix, you will need to conclude your thoughts now.
My conclusion is, I cannot say let's go back to the military, but our leaders, I believe our leaders, so the majority of them, they go this thing. They went to school, they went to free school.
Today there's no free school.
They went to free school, free education. Some of them, they were going to school, the government were even paying them. But today, they forget the poor masses, everybody is suffering. As I will say in Nigeria, somebody will buy a bag of rice, almost 80,000.
All right, Felix, let's give opportunity to other people. Thank you.
Because you cannot maintain our refinery. You carry our crude to another country to go and refine our crude oil in another country. Only that one itself is a criminal. It's a criminality.
Thank you, Felix. I think you can leave it there now. Thank you. No. Yeah, thank you. Let's do one more before we also come back. Hello?
Hello? Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. All right. Delta State, yes. Please, let's have your view.
Okay. I want to say democracy is like a cost to Nigeria. Because this is like what the last caller just said. The military is like everything we have in this country. For example, the Delta State company we have in Delta State was established by military, the military regime. But now the company is the shadow of it. It's not working. Every refinery we have in this country, none of them are working. And the democracy has spent billions of dollars to repair, but it's not still working up to today. And the country is next. That's just my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It will look as though, from all indications, democracy not only permits corruption, it facilitates it. Because of the kind of system, because of the chop-I-chop syndrome. If the executive wants to have something done, then these people would say, you must you must grease our palms, you must rub my back so I can rub your back in return. I mean, all these things were not features of the military. That's why many people are thinking, why can't we go back to a person who can buy fiat, say, a stadium is built here, and in 1 year it's done. Look at if we sit back and calculate how much has been spent on phantom turnaround maintenance that never held, that never resulted in the refineries functioning. It's baffling.
But you know, Dayo,
11.35 trillion within 3 years. I mean 13 years.
It's lost.
Like now, some Nigerians are calling for the return of military.
No, nobody can call for the return of the military.
No, but that's the opinion of some people.
Yes, no, some persons, some Nigerians.
Can call for it.
To me, I think the way corruption has eaten deep into our society, even if we try to, like, let's go the other way, let's go the other way, it will still affect.
That's the point I made from the beginning. So it's not the form of government. It's not the form of government. Us.
Because right now, there is, for instance, in FCT, do you know education is supposed to be free? But as school is resuming now, especially the new intake, like JS1 now, you see, I witnessed a situation where I went to register a relative in Cuba like 2 years back. What I saw there was quite disheartening, because I spent as at then close to 50,000 naira, and they had a way of coming up with all unnecessary things, to the point that they will ask you to buy a ream of paper.
Imagine that.
Yes, and that ream of paper, you must not buy it outside. You give them as a then it was 5,000 naira, and as you are submitting to them, they are taking it and then giving it to other parents who is equally so you can, and these are teachers. So at a point, I was now like,
oh, the same ream of paper that you have been made to believe you have paid for is presented to another person, and that 5,000 is collected.
By the time you've paid the 5,000, they hand it over to you. You now submit it in another office, and you know they will still take it back. So you can imagine if 500 students registered, how much these teachers were making.
The problem
and sometimes government try to make life easy.
I tell you, but we are ourselves frustrated.
As a journalist, that's what I've come to see.
I've also found that out.
Sometimes government try to bring in issues, some programs that can cushion the effects of some of these things.
When you finish.
But the people at the aim, I was privileged to speak to one of a teacher. Why this? Said they make returns.
That's it.
So how can I mean
it's an intricate web of corruption.
It is.
That is so far, so far flung that you can't stop it so easily.
You cannot blame them. These teachers at the lower level of this basic education, they are supposed to be funded by UBEC, Universal Basic Education.
Yes.
It's their responsibility to fund some of these basic schools, public schools. But at that level, they are not doing it. Any fund channeled to them by government, because they have budget. Universal Basic Education have budget. Any fund channeled to them, the people there, they don't let it get down
to the schools.
And these teachers have to devise means
to survive,
where they can survive and as well run the school. You get my point. That's why in most cases I don't blame them.
And part of it also, sorry, Richard, part of it is that, you know, UBEC fund can only be accessed when the partnership portion, there's what they call it. The part, there's a part of it, I think 25%. If you're asking for 100 billion, the state is supposed to contribute 25 billion to access. Counterpart funding is supposed to be. Many states, and particularly in the so-called educationally disadvantaged states, fail to provide that counterpart funding. Yet they will buy all these SUVs for people
even the counterpart funding. Some states that will even pay the counterpart funding, they are paying it to access that fund and still siphon it
Again,
and still steal
the
it.
line.
They don't use it. The highest you will see, the highest you will see them do. The highest you will see them do. Once that money is released to them,
has nothing to do with democracy.
To put in most of the local government, they will select some local government and put 2 classroom blocks, 3 classroom blocks, which contract will be given to their political followers, who will not even execute the project in a standard way. So basically, just like the other caller said, all these things we have them. Basic education, universal basic education was established by the military. It was civilian now that have come to destroy it.
No, I think Ibuot was put in place by the Obasanjo regime. Yeah. But whatever. See, I really think that the problem is with us.
It's not
the system of government whatsoever.
The institutions
are so weak. Our viewers. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello, good evening. Ola from Lagos.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Golton calling from Bauchi.
Okay, from Bauchi, all right.
Yeah. As Madam Ekaette said, the issue of military will not be compared to democracy.
All right.
Not at all.
I don't think in Nigerian case that will work. So what I'm saying here is that, like the last caller did said, all those things that the military has put in place is now being tarnished by the democratic government. So, this crisis in governance in Nigeria is not that we are deceiving ourselves. The country itself started at the wrong footing. Because different nations joining in a one entity, it will be very difficult to move on. And that's just the fact. So, self-centeredness, regionalism, tribalism, whatsoever, like Mr. Oriri is saying, nobody is wanting to see another body or somebody ruling over the other ethnic or something. It's just self-centeredness. We know the right thing. We are not civilized for democracy. Like I had one caller said, it is corruptography or what, how do you call it?
So my dear friend, when you say that the problem is that there are, like, you're saying that there are too many tribes and too many vested, divided interests. America, for example, has American Jews, has American blacks, has all kinds of Americans that are originally natives of other countries or climes, and yet they are going ahead as one big entity. How about that?
Yeah, so America is a civilized entity entirely.
So we are not civilized here?
No, we are not.
I think
I can repeat that. Democracy only works in a civilized society.
Thank you. Let's leave it there so that your brother can call.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My God.
You made a point.
Good one. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Saul. I'm calling from Lagos.
Your name is what?
Ola.
Ola this time, not Ola. Okay, that's a good one.
Ola, yeah. I want to